Hello guys, so I just want to do a check-in, and like I said in the previous readings that I'm going to try and do a bit more readings just because I want to be clear about what's going on with the royal family. Okay. And anything else. So okay, let me see what the cards give. I feel like I think the Sussexes might have another kid. A third child. Though I'm not sure if this feeling, this energy that I'm getting, because sometimes the energies come pretty strongly. Before I even picked up the cards to do a reading today, like right now, I was picking that up earlier on a few hours ago. So I think they might announce that they're pregnant. Either that or it's to do with some project. Because a project can be a baby. But something joint, and also it might be the project that they announced recently. But I think it's just to say that just like a baby, like a baby is born and the baby lasts obviously for a lifetime, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing between them. uh so either a third child, a third baby, or something else uh of that nature, to do with work or a business partnership, something of that nature. Anyway, I don't want to ramble, but I just feel the need to say it because I don't know why. I don't know why I feel the need to say it. Sometimes when I get certain things from the spiritual realm, I don't say it immediately, but this information, yeah, it's like, yeah, if it's announced, right? And this is aside from the divorce, like, people tend to mix things a lot whenever I do readings. Sometimes that if I say that they're gonna get a divorce, again, I even said, even with the divorce, they're gonna remain friends. Like, they're not gonna remain friends in the sense of what people think that, oh, they're gonna be, like bedding each other every other day, but they could fall into it and it's something that would breed a pregnancy, right? That's what I mean. So they don't automatically just stay away from each other forever because they've gotten a divorce or whatever. So that's what I'm seeing, like something that would link them beyond what we already see, beyond what we've already seen. So in looking at the, like, obviously whenever I get information, I always think to myself, okay, why is this information coming through? Number one, I'm always asking questions to myself. Why is this information coming through? Why is the energy behind this information so insistent? Why is it so almost urgent? The urgency for me to speak about it. Why is it so urgent or for me to read into it, right? So what I'm picking up here is that, so I've done the readings on, the previous live readings that I've done. Even before that, I talked about um the power hungry nature of the royal family members, and especially the supporters of William and Catherine. Well, it just so happens that this child, or this brainchild, because a business venture can be a brainchild, this child is going to be something that, because this comes in the aftermath of people, aside from in fact, from what I see in the cards, like the cancer announcement, the cancer thing is nothing important, actually. It's not even a drop in the ocean. It's irrelevant, almost irrelevant. But it's just part of the circus, the cycle that the Cambridges this time around, as opposed to the Sussexes, but the Cambridges this time around are going to put on the public. The public is a captive audience, just like it was a captive audience to the antics of Harry and Meghan since 2018, right? It's like you have no choice but to see it, to watch it. Like, oh, she says she has cancer. Okay, you have no choice but to see the endless cycle of news media telling you that you should feel sorry, you should feel bad, and all of that, right? So what I'm saying is that, but aside from the cancer, that's even nothing. Because remember, again, before the cancer, um, there were already articles saying that we should, feel sorry for Kate, we should lay off of Kate, all of that, right? Basically, no matter which side of the divide you are or the aisle you are, you cannot deny the amount of positive articles. Again, I'm not saying that Meghan Markle didn't have positive articles. She definitely did. In fact, I remember being angry that the media was not, people were not picking up what we're picking up in the beginning, right? About her behavior, towards her father, way before he even did the interview. But the amount of almost lack of abuse or abusive behavior leveled at Kate that Megan had to endure after that, right? Because there came a point where it was no more about wanting to know the truth when it comes to Meghan and Harry. Now, the media and especially the Cambridge fans were all about just plain on hating, and it's not even where they still are doing it. But I'm talking about that period of transition from logical examination of of Meghan's behavior to outright irrationality, in the sense that now we are categorically saying we're not even speculating in the hopes that she's going to prove us wrong or right. We're going to insist that that child is fake, that her pregnancy is fake. Like, in insisting in that way, they're not speculating anymore, and they're no longer going off of her behavior only. It now ventures into what they don't like about her that could be irrational and not necessarily rational or even right. Yeah. Even for someone like me who started doing readings, and I was talking about Meghan Markle's narcissistic personality. It's like, if you're going to talk about her and her babies, what proof? Like, why are you going to talk without proof? My proof is my cards, and whether you agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. At least I've got some kind of basis for what I say. But the people who go on to categorically insist that she didn't have kids, she didn't have a miscarriage and all of that. So that period of transition meant that now it's no more about just like rational, I guess, examination of Meghan Markle's behavior or criticism. It's now hatred. So that period of hatred, just before that, it was rationality. Then it went on to hatred, and then it went on to, oh, Kate is missing. You're speculating about Kate, and the level of speculation wasn't even near as much as that level of like the period of transitional hatred that Meghan Markle went through. And yet the media was saying that, leave Kate alone, leave Kate alone. So because there's been that twist, it's almost a twist of like a reversal of fortune, right? Which neither the Cambridges nor the fans have realized yet, that this reversal of fortune has happened. This You're trying to get Kate to have all the pity, but Megan is actually the one receiving that pity because you've placed her as the target. You've placed her as a target. You have made her an unwilling scapegoat, because that's what it, like, she's no longer a willing scapegoat. When it gets to the point where she wouldn't even have to say anything, she could still be the same, which I'm saying she still is, the same horrible Meghan Markle that we're criticizing in the beginning. But the fact that now the criticism of her has verged into borderline insanity, psychosis. You are wearing a moon bump and we can prove it. And not only that, but then categorically state that Kate or Catherine has done nothing wrong by putting out a picture that was then, like, seen as Photoshop and killed by the agency and put on par with North Korea. Like, it's just a whole mangled mess. It's to say that they've managed to make her a martyr. I think that's how it said, Megan. Which means that this period of transition that has happened, that has ended up happening, it's going to put this brainchild or this child that comes afterwards as something that uh we should feel sorry for. We should feel sorry towards Meghan Markle for. In other words, the pity that the supporters want to be poured by the public on Kate, it ends up going to Meghan Markle. Yeah. Simply because that period of transition meant that people have been able to see, even if they're not able to see the full picture, that tiny window of opportunity whereby they saw the intense, almost visceral hatred for Meghan for things that people could not even prove, versus they then switched to, oh, you've got to treat women, you've got to treat Kate with kindness. It meant that people who didn't even like Meghan or who hated Meghan before, not with the same level of visceral hatred of the Cambridge fans, but people who hated her before, they're now seeing how important it is to protect whatever comes from her, whatever comes out of her, which could be another kid. So it's just to say that I know I've talked about the circus, right? That, oh, we haven't seen anything yet. The same way that we had this circus, almost everyday updates with the royals when it came to Harry and Meghan way back in 2018. This same circus has been restarted, but the stakes are higher in that. So this circus I'm talking about, right? For those who watch my past readings way back then, or if you remember, you were following things up from 2018. It was like whenever Meghan Markle was criticized, she would come out with something else. Like if she was criticized with turning up unannounced for a surprise visit, or a surprise announcement, which ended up clashing with one of Kate's visits. She would get criticism, Meghan, but then the very next visit, she would do something else, almost like wear a short dress without tights, which she knows goes against protocol. So it's like just um sticking it to people in a very almost like nonchalant way, but in a way that she knows people are going to complain and keep complaining and just going to ramp up their anger against her. So basically, like doing things on purpose. And back then, obviously, she would do things like with her clothing, with her shoes, with her, the lack of wearing tights and all of that, right? Which now that we're in this position today, those things were petty, not within the confines of being having chosen to be in the royal family. That's not petty, because if you choose to be in that institution, which is what people were angry with her about, be read, and which, some Sussex fans, because some Sussex fans have reached out to me and, oh, if you know this about Meghan Markle, that she's being bullied, then why do you continue to criticize her? I will never stop criticizing her, because from what I have seen in the cards, she is not a good person. So me talking bad about the Cambridges does not mean Meghan is a good person, number one. And number two, I'm a person, I hate hypocrisy. I hate it. If I choose to go into an institution, I'm gonna make sure I live by that institution's rules and regulations. If I don't want to, then I'm not gonna complain whilst remaining in that institution. Which is why the reason why I even still I guess criticize her to even today, even despite the bullying on her, is because she maintains the titles. Again, lack of hypocrisy is, look, if you hate this institution and the people in it so much, dust yourself off. Like if I'm in a relationship and the person hurts me so bad, the way that they have just been visceral towards her, then my tolerance level is not enough for me to even ever want anything to do with them. I would If I don't return everything they've given me, I'll make sure, because I can't afford to return it, I'll make sure I work doubly hard to repay them everything they've given me and sever the ties. Talk less of even holding the title, any titles that they've given me. I wouldn't even do that. Like, even if the Queen gave it to me, I would say, you know what, Queen, I'm sorry. They can have the title. I don't want any kind of relationship to them anymore. But Meghan isn't doing that, which means some part she enjoys the criticism, but at the same time, like I mentioned before, these royal, like, be careful of the games that you play, because you are both, You're enjoying the criticism, but you have no idea how much it's gonna spiral out of. You can't control energy. You cannot, especially when it comes to the nexus, like the power of the crown that has taken years and decades and centuries of blood being shed to maintain that power. You dare not play with it, but she does. But aside from that, aside from that criticism, right? Now, what Meghan Markle was doing, like the tiny, tiny things that she was doing to just sort of like trigger people, the circus that we're experiencing today, um, after the 2018 circus, is now led by the Cambridges, by Kate especially, barging in to Charles and Camilla's events, surprise visits, copying the clothing that Meghan Markle wears, knowing that people are going to notice it and it's going to anger a couple of people, not declaring things early, the cancer announcement, all of those things. Basically, like, my point is that whenever Meghan Markle was being criticized that time, she would double down. So increase the pace, increase the stakes. Now, this circus of today that we're going through, being a captive audience, it's even worse because there's definitely a marked difference, a significant difference between someone wearing tights and someone declaring that they've got cancer, all as a result of you criticizing them. So, meaning that the Cambridges are playing dirty. They'll no longer tolerate you just criticizing them and then them coming back with something, let me say, as relatively insignificant as not wearing tights on a visit, according to royal protocol. Whereas Meghan used to stick it to royal protocol, the Cambridges are doing the opposite. They will abide by the protocol, but they'll do it in a really sneaky way, almost like, yeah, we're gonna talk about Charles, like I posted. Um, yeah, we're gonna talk about Charles, but we're gonna say that he is the one who came to visit us. Yes, we're gonna almost apologize for putting out the wrong picture on Mother's Day, but we're gonna come back with, you dare not criticize us. And oh, how dare you have criticized us because look, we've got cancer, right? And again, as I've said before, pay attention to the energies, not just the words. Divide things and sift through things, flesh them out. Because, why is Kate talking about the cancer, but it is William who is being covered up? Like, there's more articles even about William, and I counted them. Not of all, obviously, but like counted in terms of what the media alerts that comes through my phone, more about William than about Kate, and then more about Kate than about King Charles. Think about it. In fact, if you find it difficult to place things together, try to replace the players. In other words, try to put, instead of Charles, whenever you see a headline, for example, try to replace that headline with the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, who has just passed away. Think about it. Would the royal reporters, Royal Nika, for example, would she really say the Queen who's got cancer, like Kate, she toddled? As the I put I uploaded that article. She toddled like an infant, like a child. She toddled through the hospital to go visit Kate. They would never dare to do that. So it's to say that when you see these newspaper articles and you think to yourself, oh, they're so united. This article, it comes from Charles. And that's another thing as well. Like, it comes from KP, it comes from Kensington Palace, like, from what I see anyway. But the thing is, like, they'll try to make it as if Charles is a part of it, and in fact, it comes from Charles. But how can Charles want a reporter to say he toddled? He toddled. Like, if you don't know the definition of toddling, it's like waddling, like as if you're trying to find your balance. Like, for a king who is trying to, and he waited this amount of years. I'm not a supporter of Charles, but the truth is the truth. Like, you have to say things. I have to say things as I see them. You're trying to regain control after your mother, and people have mocked you for it. Your mother basically like left you in your twilight years to take the throne, right? And they're trying to equate you to some child or some infant or some elderly person who is not really totally there. He toddled to go visit Kate Middleton. Like, it's like, would you imagine the Queen toddling? And even remove the word toddling. Would you imagine the Queen going to visit Kate? Like, headlines like that never really featured until the Queen passed away. So it's to say that everything that you see, everything that you're seeing, it's all a game. And the circus that is at play is being ramped up by the Cambridges. In other words, where Meghan would come back and, disobey the royal protocol, the Cambridges decide to, yes, obey royal protocol, but tear up the rule book on the other side. Tear up the rule book when it comes to real life events. So, in other words, whereas with Meghan, her focus, her tearing up the rule book, her sticking it to the public, right? It was focusing on um the royal protocol. When it comes to the Cambridges, it focuses more on real life events because cancer is something that is real. Not wearing tights is something that is not exactly real because it's only within the confines of the royal protocol, right? That's exactly what I mean. Now, with them attacking real life events, real life situations, it means that the chaos in conjunction with Harry and Meghan, it's going to ramp up, meaning that people can now see how dangerous it is, how dangerous it has become, this circus, especially through the newspapers and obviously through the supporters, the Sussex squad and the Cambridge fans. If you can't hear me, let me know. I don't know if it's frozen, but if you can't hear me, do let me know in the comments. And I'll restart the live. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me, or should I restart the live? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Light Ray. Yeah. So what I do see, this child that is coming, like, that is going to be announced for Harry and Meghan, it's nothing big. It's nothing, like, let me say, that major, because people are going to be wondering, okay, like, what's the big deal? But at the same time, it comes on the after, like, on the back of what everything that I've just described. And again, some people might find my readings lengthy, but when you go back in time, right, after the thing has happened or whatever, my readings are for people who want to understand, not necessarily only like people who want to predict what's going to happen. In fact, the more you understand the intricacies of what is happening, the more you'd even be able to predict without me coming on live and predicting stuff. Because you're going to see that, wait, Psychic Tarot said this and this and this, and I can see it going there. At least, okay, even if this thing didn't happen, she explained the process of the division between Buckingham Palace King Charles and the Cambridges. And so far, from what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing them completely united as they could have been. Yes, there are all these unified headlines and stuff, but there's something not quite right. Why is it the king that keeps going to visit Kate? Why have Kensington Palace never really like talked about Charles's cancer? Why has the media, never really like, it sounds weird, but hyped up Charles's cancer as much as they're doing to Kate? Okay, maybe they're doing it to Kate because Kate is younger, but then is this the society we want? Because she's younger, we have to therefore put much of his spotlight. Is Charles also not worthy at least half of those headlines as well? Like things, there's so many even things about Charles's cancer that have gone underreported, right? They've just been submerged and buried by the avalanche and the wave and the flood of headlines about Kate. So, like when you watch my readings, like they're so detailed in terms of just explaining, even though it may seem like it doesn't matter, but because it does. So this explanation I've just given about the schism between Kensington Palace, the Sussexes as well, that it's not so simple as saying, oh, Kate has cancer and that's that. No, it's the cancer even is like the situation of the cancer is irrelevant. That announcement, it's not even a drop in the ocean. The drop in the ocean, first of all, is the staff issue, and that is going to coincide with the almost this post Cambridge window, this post Cambridge timeline which we're living in, whereby things are not stable. What I'm trying to say is that if you were to ask me to do a reading, I couldn't tell you what is coming next because, again, if you remember when I was doing readings back in 2018, 2019 on Megan, at some point I stopped giving details because I just said it's a circus. Yes, if you see her coming up with something surprising, it shouldn't be surprising because that's what she wants. She wants to do surprising things. She wants to shock the public. She wants to keep shocking the public. She wants to stick it to the public. So it's like after some time, you already know the energy behind that event. So it means that the interview in South Africa, that was like the first time a really high ranking member of the royal family was complaining about the public, and criticism. It's like you get paid enough to live in lavish palaces and not complain about this tiny amount of criticism. Like you could look away. Why are you complaining? That means you want the lavish lifestyle and also, but you don't want to be criticized. Like it doesn't add up, right? So the same thing for Kate, for Catherine, for William. They don't want to be criticized. And since the avalanche of media, almost like guilt tripping, has not worked, members of the public still keep questioning things, the Cambridges are going to hit harder and harder and harder. So they're never going to stop wanting to stick it to the public just like Meghan did. But unlike Meghan, who's, I guess, like her attacks, visceral attacks, unspoken attacks, but through actions, it was almost like in the cartoon world, the the cartoonish world of royal protocol, the Cambridge is taking it out means that there's going to be death, number one. There's going to be real life things that it'll feel like a dream, almost like people won't believe that it's happening, but it will be happening. So I can't tell you and I couldn't tell you any specific things that will happen, but I just say that the main um train of thought that people are going to have is to say the Cambridges are not good people. The Cambridges are not good. Yeah. So that's to say that anybody, because I came on this live reading partly also, there's definitely a lot of readings that people have been asking me to do, which I would like to do, but I can't because the cards are not showing me anything specific. It's just showing me a lot of energies that there's not going to be anything that you can put your finger on that makes sense with what the Cambridges, either the Cambridges or the Sussexes, are doing. But one thing that is for sure is that the Sussexes, the Cambridges are going to be seen as not good. Yeah. It seems like something when I do readings and I say certain things, again, I'm always asking myself, or the spiritual room, I'm always asking the cards questions like, okay, why is this relevant? Like, okay, they're not going to be seen as good, but then they've never really been seen as perfect. So yeah, they're not going to be seen as good. So what? Life goes on. But no, it's within the context of what is happening. Remember, pay attention to the energy that you felt prior to the announcement of Kate that she had cancer. There was the whole speculation. It just seemed like everybody was doing memes. And then the energy afterwards, it seems like different worlds, right? Afterwards, it was almost like you feel, at least for some people, sick to their stomachs. Like, oh, I can't believe, I can't believe that, I can't believe that, memes that I can't believe that. It's kind of like that. The sense of, I can't believe now the Cambridges are being seen as not good. The weight of that realization is what is going to enable people to stand behind the Sussexes, because they're gonna, this announcement that is coming of the Sussexes, I can feel that like it might be soon. Again, time wise, I'm not really specific on timing, but it could be soon, this week or the months or the weeks to come. I'm not sure entirely. Or it could even be something, the business that they've already announced, but it's gonna stick in people's minds, in people's memory, almost like the Sussexes are carrying on. They, the mantle that William and Kate had, it goes on Megan. Yeah. In other words, oh, this is Megan. She keeps calm and she carries on. And this is something that the fans of the Cambridges are not going to like. And even as I'm saying this, I can already feel the emotions. You know, people who are not on social media, like you might be watching this and you're not completely on social media, so you don't really understand what the whole thing. Well, again, going back to what Megan was doing back in 2018, whereby even if people were not on didn't want to be on social media, the news still came to them. In other words, you could be walking on the street and there's all these new, like the magazines really shouting out at you that Kate has cancer. And like, it's very deliberate to make you feel guilty. So even these words that I'm using, like Kate has cancer, remember, I've said it before, I've mentioned it before, that everything has become spiritual. So even when you read a particular headline, there's an energy that they have put inside of that headline behind it. It's like an injection. As soon as you read it, you're supposed to feel something. Yeah. So when, even if you choose not to go on social media, or you choose to take a break from social media, again, remember back in 2018, every single day there was some kind of update. There's some kind of circus about, the royal family, Megan this, Megan that, every single day, right? A whirlwind in the media. You would open your television. I remember even someone saying like they were at the dentist, and the dentists have some dentists have TVs attached to them at the reception area, and they were talking about Megan. That's what you can't escape it. You could not escape it. And guess what? Again, because the royals, the Cambridges, Catherine, William, they don't want to be brought down. um they're going to use a lot of witchcraft behind the words that they feed to the media. So whether you're on social media or not, these energies will come to you. Obviously, it's up to you what you choose to do with the energies, but let's just say that as soon as the energies come, it's in order to create some kind of reality. It's in order for you to act. It's in order for you to either despise Meghan and Harry, or despise Meghan alone and love Kate and love Catherine. There's never, behind these words that are going to come to you in the weeks or months or whatever years to come, there's never a benign intention behind it. It's never to say, oh, this is the information, do what you would like with it. No, it's always, this is the information, choose now. Right? Sorry, choose now. Harry, Meghan, or Catherine and William. It's always going to be like, you might not feel it initially, but it's always going to be there, almost like hanging over your head, right? So to say that there's a reason why when Meghan comes through with this project of hers, right? I'm even saying again, project or babe, child, I don't know, project. People are going to see her as like, yeah, a dual like personality, dual reality. We hate her. We both hate her, but we're going to support her because we don't like what the royal family is doing. Yeah. And because of that, the royals are going to become even more angry. So it's just to say that you are about to experience like something you've never seen from the royals, which is them not exactly speaking. Because again, if you notice, if you remember, they keep speaking through the media sources. Again, like the circus in 2018 with Megan, it was always a source that was speaking. It was always a source that was speaking against her father, a source that was speaking against the public, criticizing her, a family member. Never a name behind it, but a source. The same things that Megan did, Catherine or the Cambridges are doing, I have been doing. A source said this. A source said, a royal biographer who just happens to have had exclusives with William in the past is now saying that the Cambridges don't need, it's an opinion piece. Like they never come right out and say it. Like they're very snaky in their behavior. They'll never come right out and say William said this about, about Kate or whatever. It's always an opinion piece. It's but they're really speaking through the culprits, the Cambridges. And the thing is, and the reason why I'm doing these readings, even people are, for you to I guess understand or accept that what you're picking up, because people are gonna feel it. They're gonna feel that no, this is not this reporter talking only. This message is coming from the Cambridges. So by recognizing that, you're going to see the almost like visceral attacks that are gonna come from the Cambridges. It's almost like you're gonna feel that they want to withdraw um uh donations to cancer centers, or if they choose to give donations, not the Cambridges directly, but again, it's just very obfuscated. If donations get given to a cancer research center, then it comes with conditions, with the condition of maybe having royalty or naming the town something that is associated with royalty, basically. In other words, trading this cancer, trading it for more power on behalf of the royals, but most especially William and Kate. Yeah. So it's like you might not make sense of what is happening, but this is just to explain what will be happening. It is the refusal of the public to accept this gaslighting that is being shoved down their throats, and consequently the Cambridges being willing to go through hell and high water to make people feel the wrath, make people feel that anger at people's refusal to accept what they're feeding them. Yeah. So this for people who, like might have sent me questions and asking me to do reading on what is, okay, what is happening next and stuff. It's not really the particular event, but it's just to tell you that the energy is what is going to be prevalent. Yeah, really prevalent. And I guess the visceral effects of what they're doing, yeah, or what they've been doing to the public or towards the public. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Sayuri. Anyone, if you guys have any questions, just write, do let me know. Um, okay, Sayuri, someone told 666 is a what? A golden number. Oh, is 666 a golden number? Yeah, it is. Um, yes, you can ask questions, Hanuman. Yeah. Yeah, you can ask questions. It seems like this thing has frozen, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. But I'll wait for your questions if you have any. Yeah, I see a child coming on. I see a child. Well, in fact, I guess that's maybe why the cars were insisting it's Megan alone. Um, attached to Harry, of course, but Megan. Um, it could be a child by someone else. Either way, and again, timing wise, I'm not obviously certain on time. So it could be a child. It could be a child by someone else. In which case, it would be in the, I guess, future. Um, not immediate, but in the future. But it's to say that Megan, is not getting off the throne. Yeah, anytime soon. So any Cambridge fans that I guess come across here, your plans have not been working, and this person that you sought to bring down, it's actually going to backfire. Literally, it's as if like it's a new world. The um the people who were willing to stand by Kate will no longer stand by her. Yeah, and all because the media, or at least like all because I guess, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, just look at these cards coming out. Like, yeah. I hope you can see them. Yeah. So this crown that was supposed to be given to the English rose is now given to someone who is a bit yellower. Because um okay, to some extent, I guess in terms of like race, you could say that skin wise, Megan is definitely pale. I mean, she could pass off as white, but um in terms of race, um, Catherine, right? Uh, the rose, but this rose has now turned yellow. So like yellow in terms of like skin color almost, or what she identifies with Megan. So this crown has become that of Megan's rather than Kate's. And it's gonna stay there until the foreseeable future. So even like a crown of thorns, it's almost like, I think someone asked me the other day, is the nexus protecting itself? The nexus is the crown, for those who haven't watched those readings. Yes, the nexus is protecting itself. Again, for those who didn't watch those readings, I talked about it back then. Some people might ask, because some people might wonder, why is the nexus protecting itself and going against, like, the nexus is going to protect itself because the nexus being the crown, it stands on its own and it serves those who serve it. In other, like, it's like transitional. William is not the only king that has ever existed. So why is he acting as if him and his wife are the be all and end all? That is it's disrespect of the crown. And bear in mind, this crown, it carries the blood of and the sweat of all his ancestors. I mean, think of all the ancestors. Like, do you think the spirits are not dead? The blood is not dead. Whatever contracts, uh whatever blood they have spilled in order to maintain the power of this crown. When I say power, I mean both physical power, spiritual power. Spiritual power is especially powerful. The spiritual power is the kind of power that has made people today to not notice that, wait, Charles has gotten on the throne, even though prior to the Queen passing away, we swore to ourselves that after the Queen passes away, we're going to do away with the royal family. But now it's like that. The power of the crown is such that you can barely feel it. It's soft power, but it's actually really incredibly powerful, right? So, like, don't you think that those who slaved away, and bearing in mind, even, it's not just the blood of his ancestors, but also the blood of the slaves. And I'm not talking about just like black slaves, I'm talking about slavery, like the staff, white, the white staff, the peasants who were crushed in order for royalty to gain material power, to gain land. All these things are not going to be taken lightly by someone who is just like, I mean, even the spirit of the crown or like the ancestors are speaking against him, William. It's like to say, William, if you won't respect the people, which he won't, even as much as I've talked about the queen not respecting the people, there's always degrees to it. The queen never respected the people, like definitely, totally, but at least she understood that you have to feed the beast, i.e. the people, or at least like the beast that keeps giving us our power, right? And you partly do that by feeding, to some extent, the public, by to some extent pretending, almost genuinely pretending, if that makes sense. At least never forget in your heart that it's not about you completely, it's also about the public. Always try to make them feel as included as you can possibly include peasants, right? If that makes sense. So the queen was almost like realistic to some degree, even though she herself didn't realize how much of the power of the crown she lost because she didn't respect the public enough, and the public could sense that, especially after Meghan Markle came in. But William is a completely different story. He is spitting on the grave of his ancestors and they are biting back. So anyway, aside from that, this crown, the nexus is working against William and against Kate. It's like, okay, since you won't respect the public, right? Because in fact, it sounds weird, but think about let me explain it this way, in that what does the public have to do with giving power to the crown? Well, first of all, the public is the majority, number one. It is the public that chants or that says, long live the queen, long live the, like, in other words, long live the crown. It is the public that says it. And words are power. Words are witchcraft. Words are spiritual. You might not notice it yet, but the more the spiritual realm opens up, you will notice it. So it is the public that says that. And also, these beasts that uphold the crown, they want to be fed. And obviously, if you feed a beast 2 bodies today, the beast is going to want 4 bodies tomorrow. And if you don't give it, it's going to go looking for those bodies, and it might turn on you actually because you're the one nearest to it. And that is what is happening. And part of it is also that, I mean, the public, the power of the crown is such that people can, not everybody, of course, but people can actually lay their lives on the line for the crown. In other words, they can shed their own blood for the crown, right? Because they get so enamored in every, like, the, I guess, the beauty of the crown and the prestige of his history, that yes, they'd be willing to lay their lives. I mean, there are people who slave away for minimum wage working for the royals. So that's the blood, sweat, and, like, they're willing to not even have a family in order to dedicate it. So when I say blood, I don't necessarily mean literal blood. Blood can be sacrificing your family, having a family, that generation you were supposed to have, you choose to give it to the crown, hand it over to the crown. And spiritually it works because you were supposed to have those generations, but now that beast has taken hold of those generations because you have willingly consented to no longer having a family because of this crown that you're going to serve for the rest of your life, all your life. So, and the crown is not happy with the Cambridges. So it's just like, whatever that the Cambridge fans have been trying to do. So when I talk about William, I talk about Kate, it is them who have been pushed by their fans. Because I've said it before, William was not this bad. He was not this evil. Bad is an understatement. He was not this evil. It is the fans who have pushed him. And let me say Kate as well, but like the fans especially, and you would notice them on social media. They are very vicious in refusing and, like, denial of the truth. They would deny that Meghan had a miscarriage, whilst at the same time telling you without proof. Who's giving them proof that Kate has cancer? But no, they would tell you that you're vile for refusing to accept that Kate, for even, you wouldn't have refused that Kate has cancer, but they'll tell you that you're vile for not, I guess, like, even worshipping or treating Kate kindly, whilst they themselves deny the existence of Meghan's miscarriage. In other words, you're denying the blood that was shed. You're denying that baby that possibly could have existed, and yet you're so stuck up in your delusional, like your evil delusion, that you don't even see your contradiction and how contradictory you are. Because of that, the blood of the ancestors of this crown, it's speaking against the royals because they're the ones closest to the crown. So it's to say, like, this brainchild, literally these cards that have come out, like, I couldn't put it any clearer. The crown has now been replaced with the blood of Markle. And it's through this child or brainchild, it doesn't matter. People are now gonna see her as the saint that they were supposed to see Catherine as. And it's going to stay this way until the foreseeable future. In fact, it is not to say that people are going to see her like this, Meghan, uh, willingly. They won't. They won't even want to deal with this anymore, but they'll have no choice. Simply because, just like in 2018, we are a captive audience. Um, because the royals are in excess, like, they've got so much control spiritually, physically over the rest of the world, individualized as well. It means that whatever you do, you would have come back around to the royals anyway. So without going around to your family issues and then trying to find out the whole the source of it, the spiritual is basically showing people this is the source, and you will listen and you will see what is at play, and then you're going to take that energy, and the energy of injustice and the energy of things do not have to be perfect. Someone does not have to be perfect in order for you to take their side. In other words, just like Meghan. So in your family, if your family member is a horrible person, but you see that they are being bullied by the other family members who pretend to be better than them, you have to take a stand, right? Especially if maybe once upon a time you actually liked that family member, right, who turned out horrible, but and you may not even have liked them anymore, but it doesn't mean that you will not stand up for them. And then it's basically like the wheels of justice and injustice writing themselves. And then after that, you start seeing how other things keep opening up in your life and in your space. Yeah, if that makes sense. But anyway, is to say that, yeah, this woman, and she obviously, this kind of represents what Megan is seen as. This her pregnancy is gonna yield to this. I'm saying it's gonna, but that's really how it is already anyway in the minds of people. They just don't realize it yet. Okay. No, Mary, you're not asking too many questions. Okay, let me see. No, you're not asking too many questions, Mary, but I'm just trying to. Sunshine Moon, what do you mean by Lord's message? Um, Christians keep coming on my page, and I don't know why. If you don't like tarot reading, which is not against the Bible, by the way, because judging is also against the Bible, so we're all sinners, right? Stop coming on my page. Stop. Because I got some comments and I automatically usually delete it, but like there was some comment the other day when I was going through the live and someone was sort of like casting and binding, and I know the Bible more than you. And yes, the devil knows the Bible. I know the Bible more than you. I know Christ. I know God more than you. So stop it. Like, you're not more righteous than me or anyone here. Okay, Marie's question. What's the meaning of Kate wearing Rosemary's baby dress? Uh Oh yeah, there's a lot of meanings. It's to make her look like a baby as well, like a child, whilst at the same time maintaining her power. Downtown Gabby. Okay. PTCR, I'm wondering what the end game is regarding this Catherine fiasco. Um, there's no end game. Well, I said it in the reading prior. The end game, the end game is to make you sing. Gosh, I don't know if you can see the notes. Let me know if you can see the notes, like the musical notes, right? But in fact, this is even it because, okay, the background is black. The musical notes are a bit darker than the faces. So, pertaining to your question, Downton Abbey, like the faces, the face of Catherine, the face of William, it's the face of the fans, even the face of the Sussexes and the Sussex squad. It is visible. The roses are visible. In other words, the crown. But the musical notes are far less visible. The musical notes almost blend into the, you would have to look really closely to see the musical notes that blend into the background. So, and then this is like a witchcraft, right? Like charmed symbol. It is at the top. So in other words, at the top of their heads. Almost like people know that it exists, but they don't want to attach it to them because it's not in the middle, like it's not on their faces, it's above. And also the music kind of lulls people to sleep. So in terms of the end game, what is the end game? It's to get people to dance to the tune. They're playing music. When you see the media coming out with Kate has this, Kate has cancer, Megan, even like she has a miscarriage. I'm not saying that she didn't, because obviously I've seen a lot of things, but and I've seen a lot of things that she's been through, but it's not to say that, you can have you can have bad things happen to you and still also be a bad person. Like, it's not mutually exclusive, right? And still also use that bad thing that has happened to you as a way of gaining control over other people. Like, things are not simple and clear cut, like, mutually exclusive. So it's to say that Sussex Squad, all of them, they want you to dance to their tune, basically. They want the public to dance to their tune. So hence the musical note. So the end game is to look at this, look at this, look at this face, look at this face, but never see the magic behind it. But we're not gonna deny that I mean, have the royals think about it. Have the royals ever denied using witchcraft? They haven't. You're just assuming that they don't, or you're just assuming that if they did use it, they would tell you. Why should they? Why should they? Especially if you've never asked them or insisted on them answering you. So they've never denied that they use witchcraft. They just don't answer it. So it's right there in your face. But then the music, in other words, the music of the beauty of the clothes, because music is beautiful. Music is, you don't need music to you don't music doesn't need a passport to travel from country to country, right? Music doesn't need something physical. You can control physical things, like you can control a person, a whole human being from moving from one country to another. You can place laws to prevent them from moving. Music, you can't. Even if you try to, let me say, stop something, music from being like, you can't prevent somebody from humming, like whistling, humming. You can't prevent melody. And melody is something that moves people into a state of euphoria. It's almost like an orgasm, right? Imagine, like, sounds explicit a bit, but when you're having an orgasm, at that moment, anything can happen and you would feel in a state of euphoria, almost like the cares of this world do not matter. So that's how they keep you at bay. The cares of this world, oh, your poverty, or your state of not having cancer, or your state of having had cancer, it pales in comparison to what is happening with this family, with the royal family. So it lulls you to sleep. And obviously, the problem with William, because the Queen was actually much more, and King Charles, they were much more of team players than William and Catherine. So they could at least share some power to some extent, even though they still knew they were under. But William and Catherine do not want to share any power. Hence, with regards to your question about what is the end goal, the end game for Catherine, it is to have this music all to herself and to her, like, I, to herself, but she sees herself as one with her husband. So, even saying her husband, like, it's redundant to herself. So she wants this music because, again, look at this. They look almost like twins, right? Like twins. So she is her husband and her husband is her, at least according to her anyway. So yeah, like, she wants the music all to herself rather than almost sharing it with Harry and Meghan and Edward and Princess Margaret and Eugenie and all. No, 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 they want the music to themselves. So, which is why, again, going back to what I said before in the beginning, the Cambridge, they'll get very angry that people are not allowing them to have 100% monopoly over this music. Yeah, the music being just like the media, the articles, song. Like, even me speaking right now, my voice is a melody. It's like a melody. Whenever a person speaks, whenever a person does something, it's almost like, again, the way we describe even movements, fluid movements, like a song is fluid, like that. Yeah. Whatever song is being played, the song could be the cancer announcement, and the beauty or the the flowers behind her. That is music playing. Because you're observing it and you're thinking, oh, that's pretty. Even subliminally. Again, the music is very, very, always remember this, the music is subliminal. So, which is why sometimes, even when I'm doing readings, I don't mind anyone criticizing me, right? I just don't want to be bullied for reasons that are stupid or not valid. It's very valid to criticize, or, like, yeah, to criticize or examine critically, because why not? Because what I'm saying doesn't make sense at first glance, to some extent, because, like, but because that's because the music is very muted. The music is not as clear cut as the faces of these people. Like, in fact, you might think to yourself, like, why is she talking about the music, i.e., the reporters, what the Sussexes are doing in the background, right? Like the music in the background. Why is she talking about the Cambridges in the background when we can see that the Cambridges are fine? Look at this card. The faces, these people's faces, the women's, like, it doesn't look like they're listening to any kind of music. Like, when you're listening to music, you look a lot happier, let me say, or a lot more moved. Your face is like, certainly your face is not going to be as rigid almost as this. In other words, almost pretending that there's no music in the background, and yeah, we're not listening to any music, right? So whatever I say might sound like a contrast to what you're seeing, because, again, just like this card, there's a contrast between the expression on their faces and even the witchcraft on top. They're not even looking at the witchcraft like that. It's almost like, yeah, we don't know it exists, but it does. Okay, Downton Abbey asked, where is she? Where is Kate? She's there. She's there. Kate is never, I mean, for all I said, she's never going to leave the royal family. She won't. I mean, she loves the money, the prestige, and especially William too much to leave. Okay, Ramala asked, could you tell me if I should come out as something to my parents? Yeah, yeah, yeah. They'll love you regardless. They'll love you, Ramala. Yeah, yeah. I hope that's helpful, Ramala. They'll love you, your parents. Okay, Light Ray asked, okay, thank you for explaining and bringing attention to this. That yeah, yeah, yeah. The Cambridges are extremely, extremely sly, very covert, very, 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 very covert. So yeah, understanding the intricacies will help you to actually figure it out. In fact, sometimes I may even come to do a reading and you already know what is going on simply because I've already mentioned it. That the cycle of the events is very twisted. It's, I mean, again, Megan was playing with royal protocol, which is like, you remember when you were watching a cartoon or a movie where the character, let's say the main character, would jump into the cartoon world, like Bugs Bunny, for example, or Space Jam. There's a cartoon world, and then they would come back. Think about that. The Megan's actions, like that circus was a cartoon world, right? The Cambridge's actions are the real world, a cartoon world, a real. So think about the effect and the impact of that. Think about how bad it was at the time when Megan used to do those things, and you look around and you think to yourself, I mean, even if you're a Sussex fan and if you were at least being real to yourself that, wait, I don't understand why she keeps doing these things. Um, why does she keep touching the queen? Does she not know like royal protocol is to not touch the queen? You know, okay, you want to be kind, but come on, you're nearly 40 years old. Act like it. Act like a woman. Don't act like a silly little girl who can't walk without holding Harry's hand, right? Like that. Like that's not royal protocol. Like those, think about how grating that was on your nerves. Now multiply that by like 100, because now what the Cambridges are doing, they are raising the stakes on real life events, on real life situations. It's no longer about pantyhoses and protocol and holding someone's hand. No, this is, you have cancer, well done, so do I, but my cancer comes first, and you're either going to I guess like believe me, or you're going to fire that professor who has doubts about my cancer before you get cancer donations, right? And research grants. Like things like in other words, stifling freedom of speech in order to have the money to pursue whatever real life event or situation that Catherine or whatever other I guess like even the kids have put forward. It could be scouts, like scouting, being a scout, like, or you don't believe that my kids do scouts, okay, I'm not going to believe that your hospital needs donations for a kid who loves doing scouting, right? I don't believe it. Kind of like, but again, you won't see it until it happens, and you're sure that Harry and Meghan would never have done such a thing, if that makes sense. Like, with everything I've said, like, Harry and Meghan would never, for as stupid as they may seem sometimes, they may never go to the lengths that the Cambridges are doing. And I'm saying may because I just don't see any situation of them being put in that situation anymore. Maybe before, but I don't see them ever doing that. Yeah, I just don't. Um, they may antagonize, but the length they would go is freedom of speech. Like I posted a few days ago or yesterday, I think, Megxit, right? Like they were doxing people who were talking, who were criticizing Meghan, just like the Cambridges, again, and the supporters through the media, doxing people who talk bad about the Cambridges, except that the Cambridges they're not gonna stop there. Yeah, like that's not the limit of what they would go or where they would go. Yeah. Uh, okay, Pervin's Tarot. I know you do today a raw reading. I was wondering about the PDD case. I have the feeling. Oh no, no, he's not a scapegoat. Well, I mean, you're definitely correct, Pervin's Tarot, in the sense that There's a lot more going on, and a lot more people are gonna fall. Yeah, a lot more people are gonna fall because, yeah, you are right that he is a scape. I guess, yeah, yeah, he's a scapegoat because they haven't arrested. I mean, it's a bit like arresting a staff member that was on Epstein's boat versus arresting Epstein himself. Yeah. So yeah, in that respect, you're right. You're right. But in terms of him never having, like, not doing anything wrong, definitely not. He's a perverse. I wouldn't even say human being. He's a perverse creature, beast, a perverse being. Yeah. But he is a scapegoat, yes, in that regard. Absolutely. You're right. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so all right, I think I'm gonna go then. I'm gonna go. Um, I was gonna say one last thing, like, which I almost forgot, but the thing is, like, okay, so I do receive questions, and um unfortunately I might not respond to them immediately because there's so much going on and so many things. And I'm the type of person that whenever I do something, I like for it to make sense, right? So, in other words, if I'm doing many things connecting to the royal family, I want to know why. Marie asked, okay, what will George's error be? He won't have an error because by that time the power of the crown would have uh like dissipated. Yeah, it would have gone. He will still be on the throne, but he won't have power. Thank you, Benjamin. I know you're a devil. So we're all devils here. Now, what I was going to say is, if I am doing readings consistently on the royal family, right, I would like to know why. And I mean, I've talked about it before that, the speech room is going to open more and more things are going to come into play, even for our individual lives. And one of the reasons, because I nearly did a reading yesterday, a live yesterday, and in the end, I ended up not to, because what I saw in the cards, right, it actually made sense. I mean, I had sort of like seen a peek of it before until today, earlier on this morning, that this war, right? Um, it's always the little people who can get affected. So I finally figured that I saw the cards that it is because these people would want to take the war to other continents like Africa, Asia, because when people are fighting for power, they never want to stop there, especially if they are as power hungry as the Cambridges have been. And the fans, whenever I say fans of the Cambridges, I don't just mean, it doesn't just stay at the people who work for the Cambridges in their palace. I'm talking about royal reporters who might be based in India, who might be based in Cameroon, who might be based in, I don't know, Sri Lanka, right? Like that. These people are also fans of the Cambridges, and they are one. They are one. It's like a coven. They are one. Witchcraft, right? So these people would definitely work in tandem with the gaslighting of the Cambridges. Cambridges is their base. They can, the royal palace is their base in order to spread this. And if they want power, like the kind of power that I've seen that William wants, then they're gonna go through every and any means to get it. And if they are doing this kind of gaslighting and almost like, oh, you have to accept the truth. If they're doing this to the European audience, they still sort of like, I guess it's still couched on the European audience because obviously it's the British media, it's the American media, right? It's not really the other continents haven't really been dragged into it as of yet. But it's basically like to say what I did see in the cards, basically like, because I kept asking to myself, why am I reading this? Like, I don't even want to be involved in this anymore. But the card showed me that I guess I will, be involved when they decide to go to Africa, and which they would want to, because I've talked about intentions before, they would want to. So for anybody here who thinks that, oh, they wouldn't, I've talked about, like, the sun never set on the British Empire, and they would want to gain that again, if not physically at first, but spiritually, because the spiritual comes before the physical, but definitely would. And the fans are not, I mean, look at how hard the fans are going to shut down every criticism of them. If they can do this to the audience today, definitely, you know, Africa, Asia is just going to be mincemeat for them. And it just so happens that my partner, my husband, lives in Africa, right? And he wants me to go there as well and not stay here anymore. But that's beside the point. The very fact that my husband is there, and this is someone, my husband, who I would give my life for. Like, I love this person, I love this man even more than I love myself. Right? I've made promises to my mother that I would protect this guy. Like, as soon as I came into my spiritual energy and powers, I told my mom, I promised my mom, who's passed away now, I told her, like, I'm gonna protect this man because he's done so much for me and for her spirit, that whatever I have spiritually, I'm gonna make sure to protect this man. So the cards are pretty much like, this is what you're looking at. You might be looking at this, but it's a bigger picture for you. This man who you dearly love is about to be attacked because you're not seeing it yet, but that is his ancestral land, right? And my ancestral land is in Africa as well, but see, I hardly care about stuff. I hardly care about life even. So it's neither here nor there for me. I could die today and I'd be fine. But like, for him, his ancestral land is there. So it's very personal. So it's like to say, these royal family fans, whoever you may be, and I see you guys, I mean, like, even some of them even try or come to contact me, and they think that I can't see their actions, they think that I can't see their intentions, but I can tell. Like, you can say hello to me, and in that hello, there's a curse in it. And I'll pick up on that curse and I'll reverse it back to you. Like, I can tell what you guys' intentions are. You guys' intentions, and I'm literally seeing it play out. Like, a lot of times I don't even want to do readings, not because I don't enjoy it. I love doing readings spiritually, but because of how much they insult my intelligence. Like, they do so many things in public, and they do so many things to my face. Like, they would message me and I can tell, like, I can see that this person is trying to pass across a curse, and they really think I can't see them. Like, I can see you. And I'm even saying this right now because it might seem like you're saying this to people who, no, I know that you'll be watching this, and I know that you would have come this far in the reading because that's just the kind of people that you are. You think that other people are dumber than you. Like, you think that you're not visible. You think that you're invisible. You really, really think that these attacks against Charles, this coup, this soft coup, this overthrow of Charles, people can't see it. You think that people cannot see your movements. You think that people can't see where you're heading to. It's just to tell you that people can. And the very fact that, I mean, when I saw that in the cards, like, I was so shaken with fury, not even anger, because this is someone that I have sworn to protect and I'll protect with my life. So just to say that, like, these Cambridge fans and these royal family fans, that you know what you want to do, and you know what kind of power William wants. You know the length that he's going to go to get that power. I mean, if they're willing to gaslight the public about a picture, a simple picture, you can just apologize, but they choose to. Even if Kate has cancer, why are you using that as a gotcha moment? Like, why are you using that as a way to make people feel guilty? That means there's something about that apology for the picture that you never wanted to do in the first place. So that already, it reeks of hubris and it reeks of power. Because why can't you just apologize for trying to deceive people? They called you out on it. Apologize. But no, it's to say that these little steps, little that you're taking, you're not invisible. Your steps, as it's visible clearly. If someone else doesn't pick it, I certainly will pick it up, because this man, I dearly love him. So any kind of danger, any kind of dangerous steps that get taken to where he is, his land, I'm going to see it and I'm going to call you out on it. And I'm going to do everything in my spiritual power to stop you guys from getting into that land, because it's really, really outrageous the amount of stuff that these royal fans, Cambridge fans, do in the spiritual realm. Like, you want to stop people from talking, you want people to accept. I mean, everything that I've talked about, like, it's not just Kate, it's the way that her cancer is being used. When you read the headlines, like the way that they talk about Harry and Meghan, and you just think to yourself, are these people humans? Even if you feel for Kate, how can you, in the same breath that you say, feel sorry for Kate, apologize to Kate, you're still unwilling to apologize for claiming that Meghan did not have a miscarriage? Like, do you know what a miscarriage is? A miscarriage is bloodshed, like a life lost. But you're willing to deny that. It's just to say, like, it's not even this incidences, it is the energy behind it, it's the intention behind it. It's you saying your reality and your life, the life of your people, it doesn't matter. And if you're willing to allow the Cambridges to pursue this power, like this power hungry route, then that means you, if you don't care about the lesser beings, the non-royals, Harry and Meghan, definitely you're not going to care about myself, you're not going to care about the likes of my partner, you're not going to care about the likes of whoever else is in those lesser countries like Africa, or lesser continents like Africa and Asia. Yeah, so it's just to tell you guys that you're not invisible. People can see you and they're going to call you out on it. And whatever power grab that you're trying to get, you're not going to get it. Definitely not. I don't care how many people watch my readings, but I certainly know that any reading that I do, whether it's in private, whether it's in public, it will expose you. It will expose you, definitely. I can guarantee that. Yeah, so that's just for the Cambridge fans that come on my post and, try to gaslight me. It's not going to work, because now I know, judging from the cards and what I've been seeing, the power grab, little by little, that I've been picking up and seeing it play out, I know that my personal life is going to be affected at some point, at one point or another.